head into all the fun. And we're now setting up our first match of the day, London Spitfire and the LA Gladiators. So let's take a look at their starting lineups so we know exactly who to expect to see on the server. Starting, of course, with the London Spitfire, a talented, mostly European squad, which really turned heads at the end of last season. But as of right now, they do not manage to make their Rhine comfort comps work in the current meta. They will be going up against a team that has crushed the preseason string gossip and proved very quickly that they have the compositional flexibility which is required to succeed in the current meta. And they're looking more and more cohesive with every match. Who are we favoring in this one?
I mean, I've got to favor the Glads, but I was just so interested to see Kai coming in on the first control map. That's a huge surprise. I'm not surprised to see Kai on, Junkertown for Widow or King's Row. He can lock in the Hanzo the whole time. But on the control map, that's a really surprising choice. So I don't know what to expect. I think it's possible that London could cheese some maps with some Rhine sim comps, but I think Glads is just a heavy favorite across the series.
Absolutely. So if we're looking at our predictions, I think I know where this one is going, but let's just take a look at it anyway.
Oh, okay.
Gladiators all the way. Not a single map is given to the London Spitfire. So let's take a look if the chat is a little bit more gracious with their predictions.
Where are we going?
Any London Spitfire chats? Yeah, I mean, 7%. It's not nothing.
Yeah. They're ruthless. They really are.
Yeah, we all credit Rio, right?
Yeah.
Maybe,
I can't believe you wouldn't believe in
maybe
London,
chat
as
just
we all
wants to be
predicted.
right. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm with chat. 93.7. I think London could cheese a map. I could see if there's like a really great Rhine sim map. I could see that happening.
Let it happen.
All right, I'm done.
No, we're expecting to see a dominant performance, but of course we know that London Spitfire are a talented roster, so maybe they can surprise us with a map victory there on control, perhaps. We'll see. Let's find out. For all the action, we're going to bring in our art judges extraordinaire and connoisseurs of fine whiteboard scribbling. It is Vicky, Kitty, and Ekra.
Thank you so much, Zoe. You guys are beautiful artists. You guys did your best, okay?
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
All right, you guys did your
hard
best.
to work with. That's a hard medium to draw.
Actually, true.
Definitely don't have me do that, please. I will fail.
please.
All right. But Nekra, let's take a look at our first match that we got for the day. This is a really important week, especially looking at London. I know Jake was trying to be nice, Johnny tried to calm him down, but we got to talk about why it's so important, because London is on the brink of elimination if they lose this match versus the Glads, and if they lose 3-0, they're eliminated. If they take a single map, they do have an outside chance of fate in the hands of other teams, but losing the Glads and Defiant would basically just eliminate them from the competition, and that's obviously not what they want. They kind of have been ramping up a little bit, and with this first map being Lijiang Tower, there could be a chance, Nekra.
Yeah, this is exactly the map that I would assume London Spitfire would have a chance at actually winning. Jake brought up a great point of London Spitfire being able to lean into something like the Mei, Symmetra, and Reinhardt composition. And as we're starting out on Control Center as our very first round of Lijiang, this is definitely a round that's going to be important to set the pace for this map in particular, and hopefully keep London Spitfire's dreams of making it into the knockout stage alive.
We gotta see here, because this is the first map that they can start building up some momentum, some confidence going into this. Have not had the best time that we were expecting after their performance in the last season. LA Glads out here, though. Love how they were able to point it out. Kai being on the starting lineup, going to be able to go into that Hanzo. See how this is going to play close quarters, though, here. Especially since you see Kevster going onto the Mei, as we usually do for Lijiang.
We've seen a lot more Hanzo being played as of late, and I think that the Hanzo provides a lot of shield pressure to the Reinhardt that Hottie's going to be rolling out of spawn with. You have the ability to release the volley of arrows, which can help to start to break the shield, and the Sonic Arrow as well really helps to see if you can spot any intel. Where is London Spitfire trying to engage this point from?
Already with Kai taking that back angle, though, looking great, but Sparker getting the first pick onto Kevster is going to be huge. That's going to be putting a dent into the ult charge for Backbone and that Blizzard. Spitfire on the other side here. Dante taking a good amount of damage, just playing patiently in the back, and they're trying to go for the disengage, but Sparker with another pick onto Dante. So now putting a dent onto Dante's Annihilation and Kevster's Blizzard, as this is going to force the Glads to back away in time and give the control point to Spitfire first.
Sparker's been on fire already to kick off this match. I know that we've only seen one team fight here, but an early pick really opened the doors for London Spitfire to get this defense started. And now that you can see Hottie start to work up to the door, it's going to be a little bit more difficult for the Gladiators to come back into this point. As you mentioned, Dante on the Ramatra having his ultimate charge stunted a little bit here, as you see Hottie almost to that Earth Shatter. Sparker as well, with the amount of work that he was able to put into that first team fight, almost has the Dragon Strike online as well.
And Kessler had gone down previously there too, and now Backbone has been able to round off the Blizzard a lot closer. First here, the window goes up, the Immortality Field comes in from Landon. The immediate flicker round, and Sparker gets another pick onto Dante, make it 2 onto Kai now. Sparker has been able to find these angles in such a better fashion than Kai, and since they were the ones to take control over the point first, he was also able to get set up for that next fight amazingly.
Exactly. You have the ability to lock down any of these angles, these choke points, if you're Sparker. And the fact that London Spitfire only committed that amplification matrix to that first fight means that you can go through, use the Dragon Strike here to split up the Gladiators and put them in a position where Hottie can lock them down with a Surge Shatter now.
Amp is online here for Lastro. They're nearing the annihilation here as Hottie's going to send down the Shatter, hitting only Dante on the other side as a Blizzard also gets called in from Backbone. Great way to try to block off the exit route from the Glads. Dante did get caught in that line of fire. The Dragons, and he's going to be set down. Glads go in for another reset, but they didn't have to burn anything because, again, they only had the Amp Matrix, and now they're going to be able to come in with a new set of ults.
Yeah, they're running out of time here, so Gladiators with almost a full slate of ultimates online are going to have to start to do something. Amplification Matrix, at the very least, should start to push London Spitfire back.
This is huge here. They find Hottie, who pushed him a little bit too far, and also Kevster's Maywell behind him to stop him from backing away in time. Overtime activated with Spitfire being at 99%. This is going to be able to get a flip here for the Glads, put themselves on the board, but a great distance of progress from the London Spitfire as they're just trying to find that one last member, Sparker, in the back.
It was such an amazing team fight for the Gladiators as well. They were able to use the amplification matrix to be able to push the Spitfire back, and they were able to hold on to 4 other ultimates to throw into this next rotation. That's huge amounts of value there from Lastro's ultimate alone. Landon's going to have one on the return, as well as Admiral having the Sound Barrier online, should be able to keep the London Spitfire up and running through some of these other heavy-hitting ultimates from the Gladiators here.
A good goal here, too, for the Spitfires, just forcing out as much of these ults that you were mentioning before. The Blizzard already been coming out. Lastro gets taken down by Admiral, but Funny Astro with the Sound Barrier is going to keep the Gladiators alive here, as Admiral had used his Sound Barrier earlier to engage in this fight initially, but since they've lost it on Hottie, expect them to back away now as the Gladiators take this other fight and are already nearing 50% on the point.
This is where things start to get a little dangerous for the Spitfire. They had to throw both of the supportive ultimates into that last fight and didn't really get much out of it because they only got the 2 ultimates from Kevster and Kai, and Dante has still been able to hold on to the Annihilation. We've seen what that ultimate can do to be able to zone off teams, and Dante is one of the best Ramatra in the league right now. I wholeheartedly believe he can just brawl with Hottie here.
And we know how crazy it is, too, when it comes to that final fight territory. The Blizzard called in from Backbone, stopping Dante. The Immortality Field delaying the inevitable before Dante initially gets taken down. But the immediate comeback with Kai not being checked on the platform is able to find 2. Last was going to be able to clean up the rest. The Gladiators win this other team fight, and now we're approaching that final fight territory where the Gladiators could just completely turn this around 0-99.
I think they might. That was such a clutch Blizzard coming in from Backbone, but Kai was able to LOS it to make sure that he wasn't caught, and he was able to take out some of the key damage components of the Spitfire before they were able to make use of that Blizzard. Now it's just Sparker and Landon here with their ultimates, and Backbone's already down.
Oh no, overtime activated right now here too. The Vortex right behind him. Dante had used the Annihilation earlier before, but with nobody left on the point, the Glads 0-100 round number 1.
This was the round I expected London Spitfire to be able to take away from the Gladiators. And now they only have 2 rounds left, one of which is going to be Market, our next one that the Brawl is going to have to work for them. Spitfire were able to get a lot done with being able to capture the point first on Control Center, and if they're able to do that again on Market, maybe they're going to be able to get this next round and bring us into a round number 3, but they're going to have to do a lot here in order to take this away from the Gladiators.
Yeah, a lot of things changed up at the very beginning of that first round towards the very end where Sparker had his pop-off moments but was not able to get set up in the way that Kai did. Even though he did get fended off from that platform initially, he was able to get set up and basically did not stop because Dante was also able to enable him. Had a great performance here now. As you already see the Maywalls coming up, the Symmetro teleporter on the very top, already trying to set up the turrets here too. But this is where we see London Spitfire really shine in their element.
These brawl compositions do best when they're able to defend this point. And so now that London Spitfire have taken the control first, you're really looking at them trying to stave off this aggression from the Gladiators. And it's going to be a little slow going here. These brawl compositions take a little bit to get online.
It's annoying here too with the Symmetro turret set up in the door side. Dante taking a lot of damage after getting pinned. He's still alive here. Lastro doing his best. They were able to focus on Backbone because they don't want those Maywalls to get in the way from these choke points here. So you can see Hadi trying to get right back to safety. He's literally won. Funny Astro though, he gets taken down. So does Dante. 3 people still alive for the Gladiators. It's going to be a reset with the Spitfire taking control over the point.
The Gladiators are running a little bit of an unconventional form of brawl as well. You've got Kai with the Hanzo and Kevster on the Genji, which really means that you need to go for these high pick potentials. And if Kevster and Kai aren't able to get that damage down, then it can be a little difficult, especially when with Genji as well. You got to get a little close in order to make use of Genji's full kit. The Symmetro is going to be slowing everybody down, though. Those turrets at the door could make it more difficult for Kevster to be able to access the backline unless he's able to flake around.
Hey man, Dante's just putting in so much damage on the board. We're in 4.7k here. You see the Immortality field called in, the window as well from Landon. Immortality helping out Landon as the ping comes in from Hadi. Dante had popped the Annihilation here, and he's still alive. They're playing outside his space now as he gets taken down finally by Landon. Losing it on Dante, though. Kepster's about to have that blade that you mentioned. Last round earlier, use up that nano. Sparker gets taken out. They do find that trade here. Dante makes the swap over to the Winston, but another team fight win for the Spitfire here.
Dudes are going to be working up to that last fight potential. Oh gosh, Earth Shatter already?
Oh, but in the process, though, they lost out on Backbone and Admiral, and Landon's literally won. They didn't have the healing output after that shatter, so now the Gladiators move just right in. Kempster cleans up the rest, and they're able to take control over the point.
Spitfire could see that the cards were starting to fall. You had a couple of members down. Gladiators were coming back in with reinforcements, and so you may as well try to throw the Earth Shatter out there, see if you can get a solo shatter and maybe put the advantage back in your favor. But look at the Symmetric Teleporter. They're just going to flake around the Gladiators.
And the Photon Barrier, too, on top of that, as well as the Blizzard. So much space being controlled here by the London Spitfire as Kevster is going to be able to activate the Blade. Lastro gets taken out here. It's 2 down for the Glads with no entrance with the Maywall blocking Kevster. He's going to try to get rid of these turrets before having to reset with the rest of the team.
Kevster's Blade wasn't always going to find a lot of value there. You saw that Lastro threw in the Nano Boost to be able to keep Dante's Ramatra up for the Annihilation, and it just didn't have it available for this, but you're going to have to get something done here. Kai's got the Dragon Strike again.
Amp online. Dante gets taken out first, which is absolutely huge here. Amazing look for Landon to just stare him in the face of the Amp Matrix. Overtime ticking away in favor for the London Spitfire. They lost out on Hadi and Backbone, but Admiral had that sound barrier up, and Landon is just clicking on heads and bodies everywhere he moves. Overtime ticking away as Last Stress try to trickle in.
Gladiators may be able to get something done, but I feel like Landon's just putting in so much legwork.
He was a problem, and Kevster nailed him down with some help from Dante, but the Primal was online right before he died, and now the London Spitfire take us to round 3.
Okay, so their tournament lives still hanging in limbo a little bit, but they are 1 round away from making sure that they're not going to get 3-0'd here and mathematically eliminated from the spring knockouts. We are on Gardens now. This is really where London Spitfire are going to have to work on controlling the territory. You can work around the point really well if you're going to be playing with the Maya Symmetra Brawl. You can also play from White Room, which is going to be the smaller room behind the point with the health pack, and sometimes you can also take the health pack house right across the way from point. So there are a couple different angles that London Spitfire could really take here in order to try to lock down these choke points, but you're going to see a little bit of a match here from the Gladiators to try to get through quickly with that Symmetric Teleporter before moving back over to the Genji and the Sojourn this time around with the dive.
And Sparker sticking to the Symmetra, as we saw in that last round, doing them amazing work with the turrets, putting in the pressure. Glads have to back away here as London Spitfire have taken the space by the point first. Talk about the white room on the other side too, as Funny Astro's trying to take a cheeky angle. Admiral's just gonna hang out by the rooftops. But this is gonna allow now the London Spitfire with the Maywall to just get set up before the Gladiators can stop the turrets from also being set up here too, as Admiral needs to back away. He's taking a lot of damage.
I mean, look at that. London Spitfire's just getting pinched
Nice.
here in the ante.
Wow, that was huge, but Landon with the immortality field was also ginormous because then they had to split that attention. You can see they were able to take it out. They were also able to restabilize, but with Kevster coming right back in with the Genji this time around again here too, they are able to find these trades. Kai had gone down earlier in that fight, but Lastro had already gotten the nano boost, but then stared Hottie in the face as he gets pinned.
This is going to be a great team fight victory here for the Spitfire. As long as they're able to keep control at this point, Hottie's going to try to stall for as long as possible before the Gladiators are able to take back control and now start to work on getting up their own control percentage. But this is where the Gladiators can really start to thrive here. London Spitfire have to work together as a unit, and Gladiators can really capitalize on that by doing what they did to be able to take the control away from the Spitfire in the first place. Pincer them. Just sandwich them between members of the Gladiators, and the Gladiators could take this round.
But the thing is, the Nano Boost is online, and Kevster tries to swing away at the choke point. He gets immediately deleted by Landon once again, who had used the Ant Matrix. The wall coming up from Backbone to Sound Barrier from Admiral. The Blizzard gets put down here too. Lastro falls low. Funny Astro's about to have the Sound Barrier here. Dante with the Primal is trying to stay alive to swing around in the pit. Landon has been a huge problem here, and they try to focus him down as Dante's going for the reset. But I like this call on the disengage while Funny Astro is still stalling on the point to get some extra percentage for the rest of the Glads.
Yep, Dante as well, just trying to stall for as long as possible, and Funny Astro being that slippery little frog. Gonna make it a little bit more difficult for London Spitfire to take back control, but I love how you called out Landon, just really putting in so much work for the London Spitfire. Hottie has gone down to so low so many times, or when a nano gets hit by Lastro, you're just able to have that immortality field online for the perfect moments. And so Landon, once again, all that healing he's putting in is gonna have the amplification matrix online soon. Don't even need it if you're just gonna take out the backline.
What? What? Hottie said, don't worry, I'll take care of this. The bridge is mine. Planted the flag, which in this case is his hammer right there. Sent down the shatter. Found the pin onto Lastro, then finished things off from Funny Astro with that strike. But man, goodness, what a look right now for the London Spitfire, putting themselves in the lead at 70%.
That is the chatty we all know and love on the Reinhardt, but Kai has something to say about that with the overclock.
Overclock activated here. He slides in. He finds the problem, which is Landon in this case, who put down the Amp Matrix. Over on the other side, they also lost out on Sparker. He put down the Photon Barrier, playing around that space, but they need to deal with Kai, who's been in the back, getting enabled, getting so much of this charge down here too, and they clean up the rest of the Spitfire.
Right, so overclock getting used here. Sparker had that photon barrier in response to try to make sure that London Spitfire weren't going to take too much damage, but unfortunately they just had too many members down at this point. So London Spitfire able to walk away with 92%, as Gladiators are still going to be able to come back into this one with the Blade and the Primal Rage. It's a lot of sustain on the side of Dante to be able to make sure that too much. The anti Lastro.
The immortality came in though again at the right time from Landon. Yes, these antis have been on point, but Landon has been waiting for them. The Blizzard also came in immediately after they came out of the portal here as Admiral pops in the Sound Barrier, gets hit with another anti coming in from Lastro. The damage is too much as Funny Astro got taken down, and so did Dante, and they flipped the point from right underneath their feet, Necra.
I don't think they're going to be able to come back into this one either. You've got Kai just being held on the outside here by Hottie, the shield, able to keep him at bay. And you got the Earth Shatter here too to be able to follow everything up.
Let's see how this is going to be used as they're trying to trickle in through these choke points. Kill after kill though as the Glads fall down. Dante's next. Lastro won't be able to make it here in time. Overtime just wasted away as the London Spitfire take map number 1. What they needed, Necra, they found on Lijiang Tower.
They did exactly what we were hoping that they would, which is take this map that really does play to their strengths as a team, being able to play the brawl. And so being able to see this first map go their way, they're dreams of making the spring knockouts are still alive here, Vicky. They do need a couple other things to align for them, but if the cards fall right, then they've got a chance.
It'll be better in their favor. They could take another one out here. We know how strong the London Spitfire are on these control maps, and we saw some back and forth go down in that first and second map, which is why we saw that round 3 come through here. But let's talk about Landon and how amazing he looked, especially on that final round. We need to see this consistently going through within the rest of these maps that we have to come. We got map number 2 on the other side of this break. You definitely don't want to miss it because it's going to be Hollywood. Welcome back, everyone. Taking a look at the action that we just saw on map number 1 on Legion. Backbone popping off in his own way, also blocking out the window with the wall, getting a quick little 3K at the very end here, right through the Ant Matrix there too. Look at that. He caught him in the middle of the air. Dante just trying to get away in time as well as Kevster, but my goodness, Backbone. That was a really good look from the London Spitfire. Can they keep this up, Necker? We know that they're really good on control, but now we're going to be moving on to Hollywood.
We've got Hollywood, and we've got some swaps coming through here to be able to play the double flex support. Skyripper comes in, as well as Bob L for the Gladiators. And so you could definitely expect to see a little bit of like maybe Kiriko Ana. You could see Baptiste here alongside the Ana or the Kiriko. There's a lot of different looks that we've been able to see come out from the back line here, but definitely expecting to see that double flex support.
Yeah, that's going to play into the London Spitfire as well after taking that first map. Again, we are going to be moving on to Hollywood. And with these changes, Necro, what can you expect here from the Spitfire, especially after coming out of that last map?
Well, their rush looked really strong there. We didn't get a chance to give Backbone enough credit there for the May, but because he's going to be staying into the roster as well, it's very possible that we end up seeing a little bit more than that. Sparker also was able to pop off on the Hanzo, and so you're at least able to have a little bit of maybe a sniper duel as you see Kai also staying in the roster for this map as well. I don't know exactly what to expect from the Spitfire because I feel like they just need to kind of pull out some hat tricks here.
Talk about May being banned.
It's banned.
I'm not over this. I'm not over this. I love being
understand.
able to see the player chat so much. Guys like, nah, it's banned. You can't play it.
Please, no. I get it, though. They don't want to be on the receiving end of that again.
I mean, I don't blame them. Just finish off that one last round back when I believe had like 16 elims, 5 final blows, and like only 9 deaths out here too. So they're really putting in a lot of pressure, but
It's going to be fine if he plays it. I don't know. Maybe? Maybe?
I wouldn't expect it. Let's see here, Hottie swapping over to the Diva. Back when just trying to get a quick little shot before making the swap. All right. Sticking to the Ashe out here, Necra. And I like how you brought up Kai still sticking on here for the Glads, which just makes sense, of course. Gonna be able to play the Hanzo having more of those open sightlines. I was more surprised to see it happen on Legion, but obviously they're trying something different here as Hottie's already gonna be able to try to take to the ground, see an opportunity to see where the Glads are.
Yeah, we usually see Yaki come into the roster here, but I think that when you go over to a map like Hollywood, when you have these beautiful straightaways and this verticality to play around, the Hanzo makes a lot of sense, and that's where Kai can really shine, is on some of these hit scan / sniper heroes that he's really come to be known for. That's a great example of why he's in this lineup right now.
And that's why you also saw Backbone trying to put in some extra pressure, controlling that corner space with a dynamite after putting Kai low, and now losing out that one member and Hottie falling low himself, having to back away, just disengage, just re-stabilize here. They know they're going to try to take that back end approach to the point. The Glass just waiting out here.
You could be a little bit patient. Gladiators right now are really looking for a singular pick to try to keep the Spitfire to reset every single time. Hottie's going to get taken pretty low here as well, but it's also Hottie's duty to try to get Kai off of that perch and really put him in a position where he doesn't have line of sight onto the rest of the Spitfire here.
And look who's holding his hand right here, too. It's going to be Laster, who gets hit with an anti from Skyripper. They traded that for Backbone also getting hit with the anti, so both these teams just taking their time while Kevster's trying to find the position. Trying to get into the back line and harass Skyripper here. Oh, but the immediate sleep from Skyripper. Nice anti onto Dante and Kevster, but he's got the recall for the reset after taking out Skyripper. Kevster's just always been on another level, and now he's finding this 1v1 over on the other side. He's going to take out Landon. It's going to have to be another reset here for the London Spitfire.
Yeah, that looked really good to be able to start there. Skyripper as well, just investing the nano boost to see if they can get anything done with that attack push, but at least London Spitfire still have a lot of tools to work with. Landon's gonna have the rally. You could pop that really early, try to get a little bit of that armor on top of the rest of the team's health pool, and then see if you can get anything done with Sparker's pulse bomb as well. Backbone's actually gonna step away from the Ashe. Maybe not finding as much value as that one pick potential as the Hanzo's going to provide here, and try to see if you can contest with Kai a little bit better.
See if they can force him out of this position too. It's been difficult when Lastro's been right there, and he's got the rally at the ready. Same thing can be said for Spitfire. You have those 3 ults that you mentioned online here too, but the Glads have that nano boost, which would make a huge difference as Hottie tries to go for the reset, but Dante catches him before he could go in for the remake. They get these trades though, which is huge. Nice backline pressure coming in from the London Spitfire, losing out on Babel and Dante wouldn't be able to pop that primal there. Another big anti too onto Kai, but Kevster has been harassing Landon whenever he finds him in these side room opportunities, gets the pulse bomb pick here, and continuously is still harassing the back end. Kevster is going to be able to find Skyripper. Sparker's trying to do the same. Trying to find this 1v1 duo with Kevster. Meanwhile, the point has already found a tick here from London Spitfire, but I like the call to try to disengage while Kevster's busy.
What's really crazy is that London Spitfire wasn't able to capture that first point. You were able to get so much done there as Hadi was able to play a little bit of distraction, you know, tried to get the reset right on point to try to force out a couple of cooldowns there. Winston Bubble got invested from Dante, and you also saw the rally being invested from Lastro. It was enough, though, enough sustain on the side of the Gladiators to be able to have enough left in the tank for this final attack push here from London. This is all they've got left. 15 seconds.
This is huge. They have so many ults to work with. Yeah, London has the nano boost, and now with Kai sending out the dragons, just going to be able to clear up so much of that space. Split off the Spitfire, which is big. Less than 5 seconds on the clock, and you've lost out on Skyripper and Backbone. Make it 3 with Landon going down. Overtime, taking away. Hadi trying to stay on that point for as long as possible. It's only Hadi and Sparker. Skyripper won't be able to get back just in time unless Sparker tries to delay and just stall as long as possible, but it doesn't look like it's going to be done. The Glads hold back the London Spitfire on their attack.
Gladiators were able to play that perfectly. Even though they had to give up a tick on that first point, they still were able to come back in and have the Primal Rage as well as the Nano and just a lot of tools to be able to invest into making sure that that defense got a full hold. London Spitfire, it's really tough on Hollywood to run the rush, especially when you know that you have to be able to access that back part of point. You only have a couple of ways that you can get through, and it's a pretty long choke point. You can't just kind of take your time to be able to try to get there. So you got to go with something that has a little bit more ability, and that's why you saw Hadi try to go for the Diva there.
And they try to mix things up too. You talk about how you don't want to take your time into trying to find these poke situations and you're wasting a lot of time. Taking a look at Kevster though at the very end as well, finding a 3K after they were getting split off, immediately pressuring the back line here. This is when they had no time. They had to forcefully go into overtime, and Kevster had wiped out the back line too, with some help from Bavel as well, just finishing off what was left of the London Spitfire. But Kevster popping off at the very end there, Necra. Looking to consistently go for that here this time around. But I like how you mentioned how difficult it is for London to play that on the attack, especially playing so split up apart, because then you have to worry about Kai and his positioning on the back line, as well as Kevster, who's harassing you on the other side when you try to take a more different rotation.
You called out something really important, which is that you ended up seeing Lastro constantly hand-holding Kai or Kevster in the back to be able to make sure that they were able to stay up and deal that damage. Made it really difficult for Hadi to be able to get back there and try to keep them from getting line of sight onto the rest of the Spitfire. And so they ended up losing members before they were able to actually approach point. It's going to be a dive composition coming up from the Gladiators. You're really playing to have that Nano Blade online if you feel like you can't get through from just raw picks, but it's starting to go really well as Kevster is able to lock down this high ground, and you've got Kai also on an off angle.
Yeah, it's just constantly the Glads playing split apart, but in different angles, so that way they have the London Spitfire in their line of sight from those angles here as Skyripper and Landon get taken out. And yes, Lastro and Babel go down here too, but with Lastro going down first, the attempt there was to go Zen to make sure that Hadi doesn't have a good time on Diva, which we've been seeing a lot more consistently, but he didn't like that. He makes a swap over to Lucio to get right back to the point quickly, and they are able to find these trades, losing out on Hadi, and now going to be able to get right onto the point to get that first tick, Necro.
All right, you've got a little bit of mobility, though. You saw Landon switch over to the Kiriko to be able to teleport to the team really quickly, and Sparker coming out on the Tracer to at least be able to juggle the point. Is it going to be enough to get the reinforcements with London Spitfire in time, though?
This is the stick on the pulse bomb, but still finds Lastro with tracking Kevster. That's just right on top of Backbone. They go in that for the trade, but Sparker losing out with Kai in the back, still being able to find these picks uninterrupted because he's on the high ground currently right now, has allowed the Glads to now fully move it onto the point. Skyripper's going to try to stall for a little bit. Hadi taking a nap, won't be able to go for a reset, so he also won't be on the point. Nobody is going to be able to stop the Glads other than Skyripper here, who sends out the nano boost.
And that's going to be all she wrote. That's going to be a very quick capture for the Gladiators to be able to take this second map and tie up the series. And something that the Gladiators did so well is just keep Skyripper away from being able to heal the team. That was really tough for Skyripper to be able to get an angle when Dante was just constantly pressuring him behind the point.
The ball is having a little bit of fun at the end. I love to see the player cams of them laughing, having a good time. We get to see some of these highlights here. It wasn't just that 3K at the end of that first round that we currently see right here from Kevster, but he was doing a really good job at coordinating with Dante, finding the opportunity of these low picks that he was able to clean up from Kai too when he was on the back line. See it coming in as the Gladiators take map number 2, Necro. We still got map number 3 coming in with a tied series on our hands. We are going on to Rialto right after this break. Welcome back, everyone. The Gladiators got to set the record themselves, now taking map number 2, evening out the match score currently 1-1. And we got some subs moving in before we jump into our map 3, Necra.
We've got Lethal taking a step in for the London Spitfire roster over Backbone, and so maybe expecting to see a little bit more of maybe some Tracer Sombra action, something that's really going to help benefit the London Spitfire on Rialto, which is another map that's going to have a lot of verticality to it, as well as flank routes. You really want to see if you can have a bit more mobility when it comes to a map like this.
Yeah, especially since London decided to also start on the defense here. Gladiators with no subs as we get started on Rialto. Also nice to note here, the Glads had to make a statement, Necro, with that last run in that final map, that because they literally went crazy. Kevster did not die, by the way. He did not die.
Nope, no he did not. That Kevster was a big problem for the backline of the London Spitfire, and I think you're looking for a way to be able to try to keep him in check. And one of those ways might just have to be Lethal trying to take the reins to be able to deal some big damage. We're going to actually see London Spitfire roll out on, the D.Va and the Tracer again, but you're also going to see Lethal this time trying to pick up the Ashe. Maybe this was a look that London Spitfire weren't expecting to have to go for on Hollywood, and maybe Lethal is just kind of warmed up and ready to go for a little bit of this high ground action.
Let's see him. I mean, Lethal is one of those players that we've seen in the past, of course, coming in from Redbird. We've been able to cast him back in our time in Contenders, where he's really had pop-off moments with the Cassidy, the Sojourn, the Ashe now, as we're going to be able to see this look from the London Spitfire. So again, they did decide to go on the defense so they can get into that position here and see what Kai's going to do. Let me see if he has an opportunity to swap after Glads get some extra information.
Okay, I was like, what is he doing here? Maybe just playing it a little sly. Doesn't want to give away too much to the London Spitfire that he might be on the Widowmaker here, but this is one of Kai's classic picks. We saw him absolutely pop off on this hero last season, and so to be able to see him kind of take up the reins for this hero again makes me really excited to see what kind of pop-up potential he can bring to the table here.
Oh, if we could see the Glads just bait out Lethal and Styrofoam from the window. You saw the comms go in from Kai, and then they had the opportunity. Now the dive is initiated by Dante. He does get hit with an anti, but a bigger anti from Babel comes in, hitting Skyripper and Landon. Landon falls incredibly low. Kai gets harassed just a little bit by Sparker, but he is able to get away before Sparker has to flip the attention to help out his own backline from the high ground.
That was so sick. That's what we love watching the Kai Widowmaker for. You can see Lethal has to pay a lot of respect to that, switching over to the Widowmaker himself just to be able to contend with that high-octane gameplay. Kai is going to have to weave in these shots, though. You can see the approach up here. Looking for Lethal, you can see the ping as well, just to give that information over to the Gladiators where that could be.
Oh,
whoa.
Okay, well, that was not what I was expecting over on the other side. Skyripper getting taken down. More pawns falling here for the Spitfire, losing out on 3. Hadi was not even able to go for the reset, but I like this call here because they weren't even able to get the stall on this first point, so they're just going to try their chances in that next corner. If Kevster isn't already harassing Lethal all the way far up ahead, I mean, he was able to just jump right over that fence line there too, so he was able to get there quickly just to stall out the Spitfire.
Gladiators are taking so much space here that it's impossible for London Spitfire right now to be able to stand their ground. Look at how far forward Dante is. It's like Hadi can't really access the backline anymore. Kevster is just going absolute sicko mode in the front line. He's just I didn't know, I mean, Kevster's been acting like a raid boss, but this is just a completely different level.
It's like he's changing phases once you get halfway through. He gets another pick out here. He's like, I was able to finish that last map without dying. Want me to see me do it again? And the Nano Boost has been called in. Dante just to be able to clear out the front here. Doing so much of that damage, as well as the rally, too, from Lastro. Finding all his Spitfire like a shish kebab in this side room while getting away from the line of sight of Hadi, who tries to get the reset with the D.Va mech and the D.Va bomb. We're going to be able to find him right afterwards. He's also just stalling out Hadi after getting the second point, but they have just been non-stop, Necra.
It has been an absolute roll right now. Lethal can't find a way to be able to weave in these shots. Hasn't worked up to the sides. Kai has been holding on to them for forever. This is where London Spitfire can start to hold their ground. This is a historically great point for the defense, but it's about whether or not Kai keeps getting these picks. And the sites are really going to help with this, because London Spitfire don't want to peek their heads out in fear that they could just get taken off by Kai.
Especially since the side has been called in there too. They know exactly where they're going to be approaching from. You just preemptively aim as Kevster still trying to harass through these different off angles. Nano Boost was called in until Landon maybe looked like he was in some trouble. Nice sleep, but then immediately woken up right afterwards is Dante, who also has his Diva Bomb to reset too. So they just have a lot of stall potential right now, Necro, as the Gladiators are reaching that choke point to that final finish line.
Kevster's looking for an avenue to be able to use his Pulse Bomb, keeping Sparker in check as well so that he's not able to get a Pulse Bomb down once he gets that online. Pulse Bomb's going to be a whiff and a miss though.
It is, and he's still able to draw the attention from Lethal as Sparker lands that Pulse Bomb, finds Babel, but Babel still was able to send out that Nano Boost onto Lastro again. Dante gets demegged as he goes for the reset with the Diva Bomb, but is not able to get right back into the Met. Finally some life that we are currently seeing from the London Spitfire as Kai comes right back in, looks down mid, and then finds Lethal just sending a message before he meets up with the rest of Glads in the spawn.
Oh my goodness. I was like, is Kai about to pop off and get a 3K here? I wasn't 100% sure. It's good though. Landon able to hold the front line, be able to hold up that shield so that you are able to take out Kai. And this is where we're going to start to see a change in compositions. Kai going to go off the Widowmaker. You want to have a little bit more point presence when it comes down to this final point. So the Hanzo makes a lot more sense. And Dante going over to the Zarya. Dante is known for his tank flexibility now. Maybe not something that you would have said looking at last season and Dante taking up that tank position, but now he's like basically every single tank hero, and I would love to see what he's able to do with the Zarya.
I like this call here for this third point because you're playing so grouped together. That's why Lethal also swapped over to the Ashe as Landon calls in the rally, immediately gets taken down by Dante, who is charged up, looking to stay beefy out here as a follow from Kevster comes in, finds two. You can't get the reset here, Hadi. Sorry, no can do. And Sparker, it won't be able to stall for long either. They are desperately coming out of the spawn room doors, Necro, but they cannot be stopped. It's the LA Glads that get the payload to the finish line.
They have 2 minutes and 38 seconds left. That's a lot of time in the bank. London Spitfire won like one team fight. That's how dominant of a performance that Gladiators just put on.
Actually crazy. It's just not, they were unstoppable, going right past to that second choke point. The one time that they were held just a little bit was by that third checkpoint where they immediately made the swaps that they needed to control a lot more of that close quarter space that you see for that final run. But the Spitfire, they try to test out Lethal in the back with Widow. Kai was immediately able to shut him down before Lethal swapped right back over to the Ashe. Kai is absolutely a problem, but then when your intention is to try to displace Kai and Kevster is harassing your backline, it's so difficult to try to control that space when we also have seen Skyripper having to save Landon by putting in the Nano Boost onto Landon a few times because of Kevster being annoying.
Kevster being annoying, Dante just taking up so much space far forward, really made it difficult for London Spitfire to draw that line in the sand. Because Skyripper, it felt like kind of didn't ever get a chance to breathe either, just because of the harassment that Kevster was dealing in the back line. And if Skyripper and Landon are being kept busy by Kevster, they're not able to heal up the front line. And so Hadi kind of left to his own devices. But it's going to be Spitfire on the attack. Hadi's already going to be hit with an anti, which is great for Babel to start getting that charge up and running. But it's going to be more of the same here. Widowmaker duels from Lethal and Kai, and also just kind of even compositions across the board.
Also seeing that Gladys taking up that extra space on the high ground here, trying to call out where maybe Kai is sitting, as Kai is just going to reposition. Lethal did call him out, looking down the site, over on the other side by spawn here. Kevster falling incredibly low. Has to get away right into the line of sight of Lastro and Babel, who are going to be able to rack up those ults that you were mentioning before. Staying on the high ground here, though, is going to be able to deny the Spitfire. Nice anti into Hadi and Landon, while Kai is in position, uninterrupted, looking for the opportunity. Oh, if he was able to get Skyripper, that would have been crazy. Dante also going to be able to hold off the front line from that high ground, but with Kai taking this other angle, they see him, but he's uninterrupted here unless Sparker could try to control some of that space in the back.
How do you get access to Kai? Who do you send after him? You could send Hadi, but then Hadi is out of line of sight.
There you go.
Kai deserves this nap. He really deserves it. He's been putting in so much work.
Putting in the sleep onto Kai before being woken up. You don't need to send anybody. You just got Skyripper putting in the sleep just in case here. But he has that health pack also right at his feet. Thinking about Kai's positioning, he just stays there. Now with the Nano Boost activated here onto Dante, he dives in, finds Landon, only leaving Skyripper up for the heals, and he's desperately running away. Can't get restabilized here as the backline is annihilated for the Spitfire, and it's only up to Sparker left up and alive to try to get around this corner, but it's not going to be done with the Gladiators taking these different off-angle approaches, Necro.
Do you see that Dante got the nano boost from Babel? Just went after the supports from London Spitfire. Landon went down Skyripper. Hadi tried his best. He had the defense matrix perma on Skyripper there. It just wasn't enough to be able to soak up the damage from Dante. That was also a very funny shot.
Here's also what we were thinking about, do you just send Sparker out there to continuously press Kai so that way he's constantly having to reposition and just not focus on the approach from Spitfire while they cross over his sight lines? But then you get shut down, you get met up with the rest of your team, another anti onto Landon, but they got ults to work with here in Necro. You got a minute and less than 30 seconds on the clock. Kevster has been doing such a good job at bringing and pulling all of the Spitfire into Kai's line of sight as he gets hit with another shot, but he's got the health pack right to his right. Misses out on the pulse bomb, looking like it just skidded right past him here as Hadi could go in for the reset with that Diva Bomb when you talk about the flexibility these have if Skyripper and Landon are being pressed.
Hadi absolutely has the ability to go for the reset with a mech if you feel like it does come down to the wire, but you are sub 1 minute territory, and London Spitfire were waiting for all 5 ultimates to become online. You got the rally to be able to kick things off here from Landon, but one in response here from Lastro.
Man, it's also been just a counter rotate from Glads constantly. Rally to rally here. Sparker sends out that pulse bomb. Doesn't find the mark that he was looking for. Hadi gets hit with another anti from Babel, who's about to have the Nano Boost. See the Nano Boost coming in from Skyripper onto Landon again to help him out, but also enable him to clear out this entire first point because the Glads are not giving them any space. They finally find Kevster as now the Nano Boost gets put onto Lastro, but he doesn't last as long as Landon did over in this side room. He is flailing around, and this is the space clearance that they needed as a Diva Bomb also gets called in from Dante before he gets reset with Babel.
Oh, but look at that. London Spitfire were able to sneak that first point right underneath the Gladiators' noses, and they're able to start really getting some momentum coming through here from the cart push. Dante used that reset, but to no avail. You're going to have to see a big reset here from the Gladiators as a whole. I love the counter rotate that they were able to do, but you got to start getting set up here on the high ground because this is another place where the Gladiators can really shine with how far apart they've been playing this game.
But I like how Dante was able to get away after that first checkpoint was already secured by the Spitfire, because now the Glads can just get into that position on that high ground in the building where the Spitfire want to take control into the space from. So Kevster in the back line, finding an opportunity here if he can with the pulse bomb. He's already marked down Landon on the high ground here too, but if they just dive right from this high ground and with that first pick here for the Glads, this sets them up in the driver's seat. They have the number advantage, and Kevster wants to capitalize here with the rest of Spitfire grouped up in that side room.
I don't know if Kevster even needs to use the pulse bomb here. You already got that pick onto Sparker. It's going to keep London Spitfire at bay for just a little bit longer as you have to have Sparker blink back to the rest of the team fight. But now you can throw it in when you know that Sparker's coming back.
It's coming in, and Lastro's got the rally. Hadi and Landon have ults online here to also answer right back, as well as Sparker. Spitfire could dominantly take this fight if they could get this extra space here. But again, it's the counter rotates from the Glads that have been so on point since the Spitfire had exited out of the spawn room doors. Kai gets marked down, he gets stuck by the pulse bomb. You can't get away from that. Finally, the threat that has disabled Spitfire from getting into these open sight lines have been eliminated. Lethal can now get put into a more comfortable situation, and the rally has been called in. The Necro, they have limited time now, less than a minute on the clock, as Skyripper sends out the Nano Boost back onto Landon to help enable this rally, get into position. In the back line, it's going to be Hadi who's trying to also press Lastro. Both Babel and Lastro had used their own ults, and Dante's going in for the reset here too earlier from the Diva Mech. Currently with Kai here, also trying to get right back in to get those early sight lines. But it's been so difficult for the Spitfire to even get any progress on this cart right after getting around that corner because the Glads are just able to reset so quickly.
They really are. Look how they're playing around these stairs as well. Kevster's able to land a pulse bomb this time around onto Lethal. And that's going to be a great way to hit your mark and try to keep this defense up. 15 seconds remaining. London Spitfire don't have any other opportunity here except to go. And they got to wait. They're still down a member, Vicky. They can't go in as a whole team of 5.
And they use so much in that last fight too, Necro. No time on the board. You got to stay on the payload. Keep it into overtime now, but they've lost out on Sky Ripper, and earlier they lost out on Sparker. Lethal's going to meet them right back in the spawn, and nobody left from in sight from the London Spitfire. Unfortunately, Hadi was trying to focus in his back line, and the Glads, they take another map from the London Spitfire, Necro.
Those rotations have been so good. Okay, so this must have been the bomb over the top that hit Skyrim, but I was wondering how Dante was able to get that pick. And now I guess we were able to see exactly how that ended up going down, which is rare. I don't feel like we see too many Diva Bomb picks with yeets over the top of buildings anymore.
It's crazy, and looking at the stats too from that last match, I think Kevster had the most deaths, and the most deaths was only 3 deaths, and he put in over 8k damage on the board. The survivability from the Glads have been next level, and that's why we keep highlighting these rotations and these calls to disengage, because they also start playing at these different off angles, which then spreads the London Spitfire thin, and it's so difficult to isolate the problems being, in this case, Kevster, who's harassing your backline, and then Kai, who has these open sight lines and then finds her head before your DPS can. It's difficult out here looking at the London Spitfire, but we got another map on our hands. It's gonna be Colosio at the other side of this break.
Cannot come through, but now
Fighting Astro.
That is the delay tactics widely dealt
In a 4v5, not quite so much anymore. Kevster dishing out the damage.
This is giving me vibes of Florida against the Atlanta Rain.
What?
That is dirty.
A rough return here, just kind of getting bullied. Oh, yeah, that was a good shot.
Oh, wave hello, maybe goodbye to the rest of your team, Decay, because Lastro's on the field. Nano Zen just to keep him alive.
Rolling, trying to keep everybody alive. And Hydron, oh boy, punched into oncoming traffic. Dante shuts him down.
Welcome back, everyone. Man, Negra, seeing videos like that, it literally brings you way back. So many memories being made out here,
true.
but focusing on the LA Gladiators right now, they are currently sitting at match point.
They are sitting at match point, and it's been a dominant performance after London Spitfire were able to take that first map of Lijiang Tower. And Dante, gotta give a big shout out to him as a player, because I feel like we've put a lot of emphasis on the DPS lineup of the Gladiators, but what about Dante being able to hold down that front line on the Diva, on Rialto, and really making some good work there of the back line of the London Spitfire?
Yeah, he was doing really good, and his survivability too. You saw the stat card. Stats do not lie. He only died once in that entire last game. He was playing so well, and even finding that nice cheeky Diva bomb kill right over the rooftops to find Sky Ripper here. But he was also doing a really good job at not only not overextending, but also forcing a lot of the London Spitfire into the line of sight of Kai. You could already tell that the comms were really flowing for this team, but Dante had a really standout performance on that last map.
And the Gladiators as well, when you look at their performance over the entire stage so far, looked like they took a little bit of time to be able to find their footing at the very early parts of the stage, but it really looks like they are a well-oiled machine right now, with Dante also showing off so much flexibility when it comes down to the tank line, and also how Kevster and Yaki now actually taking a little bit of a substitution into the roster have been able to show off how deep their hero pools are to be able to play to the strength of each individual map.
Yeah, you know, to highlight on that point, it's really crazy. The LA Glads, they started amazingly in week 1, didn't lose to any of the teams that we saw, I think between the Houston Outlaws and the Toronto Defiant. Week 2 is when they took their first and only loss against a team, which was the Atlanta Reign in that entire match. So, you know, the best team in the league, and here you are, the LA Glads are looking to not only be not afraid of experimenting here, but changing things up to see what they could do differently as we go into our next map. Necro, I'm excited to see some of the changes we've already witnessed between the rosters going into this potentially final map.
Yeah, so you saw that Funny Astro and Admiral are going to be coming into the support lineups here for both teams, and so it really speaks volumes to maybe going to something like a Rush or a Brawl composition, able to play the Lucio. That's what Funny Astro in particular is very well known for, and what Admiral was able to show us there in that very first map of this series. But yeah,
they're zooming like that.
Yes, that's what the Lucio's about to do.
And it was a given too, seeing that Kai is out, Yaki's in. Kai is doing such great work here, but they are looking to just close in the gap, get as aggressive as they can here. Wondering if they are going to stick. Yaki being on that Sombra, Kevster being on the Genji is no surprise, but we're going to get started already here, and the London Spitfire are bringing out Hottie on the Ryan.
Yeah, so a little bit of that Rhine rush coming through here from the Spitfire, as you also have Backbone subbing back into the roster to be able to play the Mei. Sparker picking up the Hanzo is able to put a little bit of pressure there onto Dante, and maybe will keep him from being able to access the Admiral and Landon. And I think the mobility overall is going to be really good here for London. Admiral coming back into the roster means that you've got the Lucio able to speed you around.
That's been so on point with these antis too. Had got an early 3-man anti right there before Backbone gets hacked by Yaki. Trying to get that EMP just online as quickly as possible here. Looking to his back though. This is the positioning from the LA Gladiators that we witnessed in the last map too, Necro, with the way that they're just trying to surround Hottie. It didn't work with Sparker getting that first pick onto Funny Astro, which is going to delay that sound barrier, but trying to find a way to make basically a London Spitfire sandwich, and it didn't work here. Dante now gets set down. The number favors London Spitfire here despite losing out on Sparker, and now the LA Glads are moving in.
Sparker at least is able to jump back into the swing of things very quickly. You're also bringing down Kevster pretty low The Sombra here from Yaki, that was really where I feel like London's going to start to feel the hurt. If you're able to consistently hack somebody like Hottie, maybe hack Admiral, really slow down the ability to use those cooldowns, then you're able to pincer London Spitfire way better.
Just takes some time to get that online, but Yaki's already nearing that 70% mark. Currently, Landon does have that Ant Matrix here too. Playing passively right here, looking to the side just in case Kevster wants to get a different angle. But it's the contention, too, that we're also seeing between Hottie and Dante just before the rest of the Glads just move in from the back line. Another anti landing onto the Spitfire and then landing getting hacked. Something they got to look out for is going to be Yaki with a Nano Blade online potentially here as it is going to come in. Kester dives right into the back line. Landon put down the Ant Matrix and the Immortality, but it doesn't matter. He was able to swipe right through it the moment that he was able to find Admiral and Landon here. And with some help from Yaki, they're going to be able to re-engage in that next fight, Necro, with the EMP ready.
Landon's Immortality fields have been so good this entire series, but there's not a whole lot that you can do against something like a Nano Blade, especially when Kevster's going to be the one that is wielding that sharp blade. But Yaki, yeah, already with the EMP online, this is a great way for Gladiators to continue to snowball and maybe take the lead back from London Spitfire. They're only meters away, but London Spitfire can deny this lead if they're able to go in with something like the Mei and try to get that area of
oh my goodness. You blinking, you may have just missed it. Goes in for the hack. Now the EMP comes in. The rest of the Spitfire get deleted. But let's talk about that initial pick onto Landon. He looked away for 2 seconds. Got dove on by both Yaki and Dante. Got deleted.
You could see how much respect Gladiators are putting towards the support lineup of the Spitfire, though. All of the focus fire that they put under Skyripper in those last 2 maps, Landon now on the Batiste, knowing that he's been such an influential part of London Spitfire's success in that first map, you have to shut him down. Otherwise, London Spitfire able to sustain.
Talk about the Immortality field, helping out 4 of the members of Spitfire, putting back one of the
exactly
send out that Blizzard. Yeah, it's why it's been a problem, but then these disengage comes in from the Glads. Funny Astro speed boosting everybody to then re-engage now with the sound barrier, and they're getting right back into position where they're not scared to fight in the side room because they've already used up Blizzard. A nice anti comes in, hitting Sparker and Admiral, but they are able to restabilize with the Glads backing away in time, so then putting their focus and just building up these ults. But Kevster finding Backbone and Sparker with this blade is allowed to re-engage. Landon punches him, says get out of here after losing out on 2, but the number advantage is still in favor for the Glads here.
Didn't even have to use the nano boost either, so that's why Bobo could actually give that over to Dante, try to get that Primal Rage online, and just keep stalling out the London Spitfire. That's a big stagger there onto Hottie, and Funny Astro still going to be able to try to make quick work of the Spitfire as they eventually take back control of this bot. But that's a lot of progress that the Gladiators are able to make.
That's why you're also, I thought he was going to swap it. He considered it and then swapped back to the Ryan, but he had used that Shatter, and I don't think it hit anybody. It had no impact there the way that they needed it, especially since, again, they were at a number disadvantage, and with the EMP coming in from Yaki, finding Sparker, Landon, deleting them from the equation, leaving only 3 here for the Spitfire, then getting the hack onto Admiral. Yaki on another level up here with the follows from Dante, just as we saw when they earlier dove onto Landon.
This is the first time we've seen Yaki play in this series, but you can see why he's being subbed in right now. It's not that Kai was obviously not putting in the work for those first 3 maps, but Yaki provides something just a little bit different to be able to play with this dive a little bit more cohesively. You've got the Sombra that can help initiate these big pushes from Dante and Kevster, and the follow-up is there as well as Funny Astra's able to taxi everybody towards the target that Yaki has been able to lock down. So Yaki in the backline again.
Oh, man.
It looks like they kind of switched sides here, but you're able to get a lot done here if you can just hack somebody.
They're playing so messy here too, and Backbone making a swap over to the Sombra to at least try to match that. Hottie, it's taken out first. Admiral has a sound barrier that he wants to wait here for the re-engage with Hottie. Once he comes back, he won't even be in the fight this time around. And looking at the changes too, Necro, with Backbone making a swap over to the Sombra, this is the difficult part because we know how good Backbone is on the Mei, but when your best Mei player has to also be your best Sombra player out here, it lacks that flexibility that London Spitfire needs.
Yeah, you can't play both of those heroes together, which is a composition that we see a lot with that Mei and that Sombra being able to work together. So you're going to see Sparker actually switch over to the Reaper, able to get a little bit more up close and personal for the Gladiators, but at least you're able to follow up with that too when you've got Hottie on the Winston. So a big compositional switch up here from the Spitfire to try to contend with the Gladiators and take back control.
A little too late, I'm wondering here, because you got less than 4 minutes on the clock. Do you see that progress now being put in from the London Spitfire with Sparker about to get that Death Blossom? EMP only landing onto Kevster. Not what you expect when the immediate turnaround comes in with the nano boost onto Kevster. He's holding onto the blade because they would rather just wait out to see if the Death Blossom was activated here too. I like this disengage approach before diving in. Gets the reset here too with the dash, and he's just going to be able to get right back to the rest of Gladiators. But it's holding onto that utility that differentiates the Gladiators here because Kevster still has that blade for the next fight.
Yeah, you're not going to have the nano boost to be able to help bolster up that blade, but the fact that you do have the ability to kind of exercise a little bit of that patience it really does help out here to have just any tool in the kit. Sub 3 minute territory now as you're going to see the sound barrier get invested here from Admiral.
Gonna save them here. Trying to call up Glad, just trying to isolate the backline again like we've seen, but with Babel and Dante falling incredibly low. Babel makes the swap over to the Kiriko. Kevster with the Dragon Blade now, with a dash through. Swing around after London Spitfire lose out on Admiral. Howdy pops in the Primal, and it's going to be able to get right back into the action just as quickly here too. Kevster's still putting in so much of this pressure while backing away in time. Yes, they're able to find some of these picks, but the London Spitfire need to deal with this stall potential that Kevster's been able to do with Dante.
Kevster is... They just, honestly, the shurikens have been able to do so much damage. Even just the pressure of the blade. Yeah, Admiral would have loved to have the sound barrier online to be able to contest with that, but you know that the nano wasn't online for it. You can deal with it a little bit better. But this is where the Gladiators are able to really keep that momentum rolling as Dante has the Primal Rage ready to go.
Rush coming in here too from Landon to start the engagement. See, Sparker has that Death Blossom ready, as well as Backbone trying to rack up that EMP to match up with Yaki. Waiting to see where Yaki's going to go into position, as a sound barrier only comes in for Dante and Funny Astro. Doesn't hit the rest of the team there. Nice barrier as the huge EMP comes in, hitting Hottie, Sparker, and Backbone. But since Landon was the first one out, he could not help the rest of his team out with Suzu. Hottie's still finding these picks, and again, that was a really big bubble in the middle to help prevent maybe that Somber from helping out the rest of the team here. But now with Kevster going down, we're seeing some life coming in from the London Spitfire. Hottie getting away in time.
Took a little bit of time for the London Spitfire to start getting these ultimates online after they made a pretty heavy compositional swap, but seems to be working right now. Dante able to stop the cart for a little bit before getting out there with the jump, waiting for the reinforcements to come back in. Sparker's been holding on to this Death Blossom for a long time, though, waiting for the perfect moment to let this one rip.
He's waiting for the opportunity to bloom here, and it's Kevster with the Dragon Blade who gets shut down by Sparker, finally unleashing that Death Blossom that you were looking forward to. Necra here, we're getting the trade, as you see Funny Astro and Admiral also go down. 3 only left here for the Glads as Babel gets hacked over by Backbone, but now the rest of Spitfire can at least take a breather right now, but they got less than a minute on the clock, less than 35 seconds, and still the LA Glads have more of that extension with the bot.
I mean, you've got Hottie with the Primal Rage. This is a really nice tool to be able to have in order to try to get any of the Gladiators off of this point to give you a chance to be able to make this checkpoint. But when you've got the Kiriko Rush as well, this is a great start here for the Spitfire. They've just got to capitalize on these ultimates here.
Look at the positioning, though, from the Glads. They're hanging around the corner, but Sparker isolating Dante. Oh, Yaki gets away, but he still was able to pop the EMP, at least trying to. It lands on Hottie. Admiral was taken down initially at first. No time on the clock as overtime is activated. And Necro, this is so close. 62 to 64 as the London Spitfire are looking to outrun the Glads. The sound barrier from Funny Astro helping out all the 4 remaining members left alive here for the Glads. So much stall coming in again from the Glads, but not enough healing done as Hottie gets taken down. So does Sparker and Landon, and nobody's left as the EMP is late from Backbone to delay the bot.
Oh, that was so close from the Spitfire. But with that team fight win, the Gladiators take the map and the series. But London Spitfire did put up a heck of a fight in that final map, Vicky. I was really impressed with their ability to switch up their compositions so quickly and be able to get to a point where they were in contention to bring us to a map 5. That was more fight than I feel like the desk was expecting, and maybe all the rest of us as well.
Yeah, that honestly, it's crazy to also note that Yaki had not died a single time while he was on that Sombra. His survivability was next level. They even tried to poop him away. He was able to teleport back to safety. And his EMPs, they got some big effects. Sometimes they didn't, but it was still him putting in a lot of pressure while, again, enabling Kevster. We also saw a lot of nice highlight moments from Dante, who did die 5 times, I do believe, in that last map there too. But with 25 elims and 13 final blows, the LA Glads take another one from underneath the London Spitfire, winning that series 3-1.
The very least for the London Spitfire, they still have a chance of making it to the spring knockouts. They do have that one map win that we were looking for, and maybe the rest of the cards will fall right in order for them to get another shot at making it to the midseason. But with that win, the Gladiators are looking so good heading into the midseason. And what's not to love about our player of the match, Kevster, who was able to do so much on that Tracer that was really impressive to watch, and it wasn't even just the Tracer that Kevster was able to stand out on.
Absolutely. We saw him stand out on the May originally here too, but he had so many moments. I mean, when you think about Tracer, I feel like the first player that comes to my mind is Kevster out here. He's just such an insane standout player and was able to get so much impact for the rest of the Glads here too. And it's difficult when your backline, if you're looking at the Spitfire, are getting constantly harassed by Kevster. And it wasn't the May at the beginning, it wasn't just the Tracer, but it was also the Genji at the very end of the push map.
This is the flexibility that we are talking about when we say that the Gladiators have such deep hero pools. They're able to show us multiple different looks, but I mean, I think that's something that's really impressive about Kevster in particular is just how much it feels like his Tracer has improved from the beginning of the season. It took a little while for the Gladiators to really get online as we look at the earlier weeks for this team, but I think now it really does feel like they're in full force and they really know how to play around the strengths of each individual member. And Kevster's Tracer, the Genji, really showing up in a big way today.
Yeah, his survivability is just crazy, whether it be him on the Genji, swapping over to the Tracer. You can see it on the stat card alone. He died 3 times in that last match, but put in a good amount of damage, over 10k damage to round that off and to allow the Glads to take that win with the rest of the team. That's going to be our first match done and dusted. We're going to be throwing it to a break, and when we're back, we got some more Overwatch League action for you.
Monkey point.
Oh, fucking stress. Oh, nice.
I'm 제로 됐어.
And we are back again. That was match number 1 of day 1 of week 5 by Spring Qualifier. There's a lot of words.
Yeah,
a
lot of numbers.
Impressive. Lots of
like, wow.
numbers as well. It's
You got to pump those numbers up.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. Where's the toy?
Words come out of my mouth. Sometimes I don't understand what they mean until they hit the audience, and that's that. Anyway, I do want to talk about this match because with this map victory, London Spitfire actually keep themselves alive.
Ooh.
They do have,
In theory.
in theory, yeah, they do have still a road ahead of themselves. It's now out of their hands, so they need to rely on other teams to perform a certain way for them to be able to make it into the knockouts. However, the story here, obviously, Gladiators taking a W. They already clinched their spot. How did they get it done against the London Spitfire?
Well, I think especially we saw on the 2 more linear map types on Hollywood and Rialto, there was just an absolutely massive gap between these teams. On control, this is clearly London Spitfire's strength. They can play the Rhine Sim. I think Lijiang is definitely a high roll for them, where the Rhine Sim is absolutely viable on all 3 points. Super winnable map for them, and they looked pretty clean here, although it was a close map. The next 2 were just not close. Gladiators is an infinitely better team when they play these long-range dive comps, and it's not close at all. You just see that in the next 2 maps. They were just getting beaten down. Kevster as well, and the Tracer, I think he's able to really light it up. On the 3rd map, there was some sort of hope for London, but again, that's what I expect for them. That, like, I think if London can manage to win a push map and then take it to that last map 5 caught, I think they could actually win some series.
Yeah.
But so far, it's been a little bit elusive for them.
Yeah, I agree. I'm gonna turn into complete overreact Andy here, and just be like, There are a couple teams in the league that struggle to close out control maps. We've seen teams like the Gladiators, for example, Thomas Shock, Houston Outlaws, when they sometimes play this Farah Doomfist composition. Like, losing control maps like this and struggling to close them out, that's going to matter. Like, when you get to the knockouts and when you get to the mid-season madness, you need to perform on control. Control is as valuable as a game mode as push or payload or any other type. So
it's more
really need to,
twice as valuable.
Exactly. There you go. So, I mean, you need to start closing out some of these control maps and not like pushing off the gas and giving up maps to a London Spitfire like this.
Yeah, I think that the lucky thing for London though is the last 2 control maps they played were Nepal and Lijiang, which are I think the 2 best maps for their style. And I think on some other maps it's just not going to work as well. So I think they've been even a little bit lucky to get these map wins.
What if these teams that lose control maps are thinking, hey, we know we're better than the other team, so let's try some things out on control, and then revert back. No?
Love the
Not in a map.
idea. Do not think that's the thought process there. But yeah, some teams just really thrive in a chaotic nature of control maps, whereas others are just faring better in a more structured setting of literally every other mode.
Yeah.
But let's hear it from the team themselves. We do have Kevster standing by for our winners interview. So Kevster, thank you so much for joining us. It's great to see you.
Hello. Hello. All right, Kevster, I'm going to go ahead first. So, I mean, you guys look dominant against London Spitfire today, but I think I have to ask you about the first map, Lijiang. What happened what went wrong for the Gladiators in the first map?
I think we were just like trying to experiment a bit too much. I think Lijiang's a strong rush map, so if there's one map...
Thank you. That's
all Danny wanted to hear. That was his theory.
Yes, Kevster.
Like
see, yeah, I was right. They knew that they were better, and they wanted to experiment. Thank you, Kevster.
He's desperate for the validation.
I said you don't experiment in a match, Kevster, but I guess I was wrong here, Kevster. I guess you do experiment in matches. I had a question about playing Sparker actually, because you're both on Team Sweden. So I'm Captain Bias here. Hello, I'm Swedish. But I wanted to ask you, how is your relationship with Sparker? Playing with him on World Cup Team Sweden. Was there some extra banter going into this one? Like, oh, I'm gonna get you in this match. What was the matchup like versus Sparker?
I wouldn't say it was banter, but I think we're good friends, and he's a good player, so it's always fun playing against him.
Yeah, I mean, we're all Swedish, so, I didn't expect that much.
All right, Johnny, we get it.
Got it.
Yeah.
Well, I wanted to ask about the support line actually for the Gladiators, Kevster, since you're playing a lot of these flankers where you really have to be aware of what your team's doing and how you're playing around them. So how's it been playing with Lastro, Funny Astro, and Bobble, and switching roles and so many different comps in this meta?
I think it's really good how we manage to like fit our supports in, like depending on our play style and like what supports want to play and stuff. I mean, they're all obviously really talented, so yeah, it's great.
Nice.
Yeah, your team's certainly not lacking any talent in any of the roles we're seeing. And partially to that, of course, you guys made it already. You clinched into the knockouts. Now, I'm just going to assume that you guys think you're going to get one of the 2 tickets to Korea. Which is the other team you think is going to be dominating in the knockouts? Give them a shout out.
Ooh, that's a hard one. I'd say maybe Mayhem.
Maybe Mayhem? Why just maybe?
I'm so unsure, really. We're dominating all of them, so it's hard to pick one.
Oh.
That's fair. Well, they're gonna figure it out sooner rather than later. We can't wait to see you back in action. Thank you so much for joining us, and have a great rest of your day.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kev.
Thank you.
And that was Kevster, according to Jonathan. It's just Kev. Wow, you're like...
He knows him like that.
Does he?
Both Swedish.
Does he know?
You guys,
Does he know?
Hey guys,
Did you get
he's
approved?
Swedish.
Yeah.
Like Kevster.
No, but did you get approved? Is Kevster okay with you calling him Kev? He might be offended.
I just assumed because we're both Swedish.
Oh, wait a minute. Are they both?
I think they might be both Swedish.
Wow.
It's yeah.
The
More
more
from
you know.
Kev and John at 9.
You know,
Kevin Joe.
we would have been playing for Team Sweden, but I refused this time around. You know, took a step back.
they all
so
wanted
they didn't want to
to
play
try.
this
That's really
year.
kind of you.
There was a, it's good for you to let the young guys have a chance. I mean,
Yeah.
it wouldn't if you tried, but
So we could have been
Gotta give it
teammates,
that.
but I'm good. You know.
It's crazy that they want to miss out on that. I
Insane.
don't understand. Insanity. No. But of course, people can still support not just Team Sweden. They can also support our Overwatch team, where we're going to see some Swedish players play as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do have some.
we just saw. Is there just the 2 of them that we just saw? Actually, we're not going to see any more.
Well,
Don't elaborate.
Zero Swiss players, so they got that going for them.
fair.
But yeah, grab your jersey now. Overwatch League, of course, has a wonderful shop, currently 20% off of the things. So grab a jersey, support your favorite teams to cheer them on in their meaningful matches, such as Atlanta Reign, which will be going up against the Vegas Eternal. We talked about it in the pre-show. Tough road ahead for the Atlanta Reign.
Yeah.
Let's
Really
see,
worried about Reign here.
Yeah, let's see if they can get it done. We
gonna
go
be hard.
0-6 to 6-0. That's the state of both of those teams. Of course, the Vegas Eternal still trying to chase down the elusive victory. Don't think it's going to happen against the Atlanta Reign, but let's see how close they can make it look. Atlanta Reign has been an absolute juggernaut. They are the protagonist. Maybe they are the super villain. I'm not entirely sure because they still give me villain vibes, but they are on
Look
the
at the
top.
player profile.
It's
Yeah.
honestly, why is it always the Reign?
I don't know.
They
I
got
just
the
have
villain
one thing
look
to
about
say.
them.
Gator, if you're watching this, I want to see the Hawk Moira. I know you can do it. This is the time.
Hawk
I
Moira.
want to see it. I want to see it. If we check out Hawk's rank profile, you'll see that he's played more Moira than anything else this season. He's absolutely terrorizing the rank ladder on Moira, and I know he's played it in scrims too. I've heard about that, so I want to see it come out in the match. You guys don't need to play your best players to win. You don't.
Honestly,
Whoa, hey, you never
like,
know.
It's really
hey, maybe
obvious.
this is the time. This is the day for
But that's what I'm saying. The Hawk
for Vegas
Moira,
Eternal.
I mean, come on.
Moira.
There's a big potential
they
for the
lose
Moira
to
to come out.
every
We
other
haven't seen
team
much
and then
of the
beat
season.
Atlanta Reign. That's a great story. That's a script right there.
That is a script.
That is
yeah.
a script.
Indeed.
It is an implausible one. but,
Two birds.
It'd be exciting.
Oh, it is a bird battle, isn't it?
It is.
Oh, that's fantastic.
I just noticed that right now.
Oh, do you have anything else to chime in on this?
I hope we get to see some Lifeweaver. It's been a minute since we saw some Lifeweaver. Now, Atlanta Reign, this would be the perfect opportunity. Bring out some Lifeweaver.
Okay,
I
we
think the
want
Hawk Moira is
live.
too juicy to miss out on. I think that's the
Moira.
obvious.
I don't believe it. I won't believe it until I see it.
No,
Moira.
stop it.
Moira.
Zoe, you need to think what you're talking, what you're saying.
Honestly, I get paid regardless, so it doesn't really matter what's coming out of my mouth.
You just gotta say stuff.
It just happens. I let it guide me, you know.
Let it fly.
Yeah, let it fly. Ha
Like
ha!
these two teams.
Just like the
One of them will
birds.
fly.
Let's see which is the superior.
Let's go,
winged,
Vegas.
fellow. Let's take a look at our predictions. Pow.
Wow.
Dropping down. Everyone going for the Atlanta Arena. Of course, the big question is, chat, where you at?
Oh, this could be like a 99-1.
No,
this could
I
be
feel like it's
this
gonna
could
be
be a new
96.
record. This could be a new
I
record.
think
I think it's
What
good
do you
odds for a
say?
new record.
This could be a new record.
99.
Oh, come on, 3%?
96.
Really?
There's some diehards.
I
There's
need to
some
know.
diehards.
I need to know
The
how
true
many
fans.
people make out the 3%.
The
I need the
true-
hard numbers here.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I need,
There's like-
I need to know what we're dealing with.
I don't
Well, maybe
know.
one day we'll find out, or not. Either way,
How
we
many
are.
family members are on the Paris?
It's like I okay, you have the staff, the players, family and friends.
Yeah, that's what I mean. There's like the certain, we can call them non-rational voters. They're picking their friends and they're supporting, which I think you gotta
Vegas
appreciate.
has some diehard fans.
Yeah, having the diehard supporters is really important for this team, and they're gonna need them after they get absolutely slaughtered in this match.
You never know. Like I said,
actually,
this is a rare match. Today's gonna be the day.
I think I do know.
I think you're being a bit mean to the Vegas Eternal franchise. I mean, they've won more stages than Houston Outlaws have in their history. So.
Just
gonna let that go.
Oh yeah. Yeah, they won with like a couple of players like Sparkle and
Sparkle,
What are those guys coming in? Why did they use Sparkle and Hanbin on the roster? Fielder, he's on the other team.
Franchise history, it's hell of a thing.
It's weird, yeah. It's yeah, huh? Like,
I do love people relying on franchise history as if it has anything to do with the current player.
If there's an 11th hour Sparkle Hanbin Fielder signing and Atlanta loses Fielder, then I'm ready to
You just sound pretty salty, bro. Like, come on, man.
Look, all I'm saying.
The Jake Grab couldn't get it done.
For us to do this.
That is true. That is true. Junkrat is not a good hero, guys.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert. This just in.
Just in. Boys on the desk arguing. Casters being ready. So many breaking news for this one. So let's send it over to our ever so lovely, everyone's favorite. It is Vicky Kitty. It is Necra. 3% for the Vegas Eternal, excuse me. Yeah. That's some diehard fans, though. We love that.
I really liked the visual of the Johnny Jake feud happening on the desk. Yeah, that was great.
It's an ongoing thing now.
It's not an argument.
It's an ongoing thing.
It's not an argument.
Not
It's I'm spitting facts.
Yes, facts about teams which no longer exist.
I feel like this representation, like Danny leading into Zoe, like, Mom, I'm scared. I don't know what to do. Like, they're fighting again. Help. Like, all right. But also, can we talk about like how Jake was so like positive for the London in the last series, and then Danny's like, you never know, like, Paris, and then here comes reinforcers like arguing, like, what we see in the past. Jake's like, okay, it is what it is. But I'm excited because Hawk Moira. Hold on.
I'm praying.
Because
there's no way. He's not going to do it.
I'm getting my phone on messaging Gator right now on Discord.
Please do.
Please do.
Everyone,
There's no way.
Everyone
There's no
out there
way.
at home,
I'll
please
see what he
message
says.
at Gator. Is that his Twitter handle?
Yeah, I
Gator?
tweeted him. I don't know if he has that
Make it
Twitter
happen.
handle, but
Everybody spam Gator. Spam Gator right now to see Hawk on Moira. Hashtag Hawk Moira. All right. Getting started, we're going to be taking a look at our lineups here, Necra. I mean, if I guess it's true. If there is a matchup that you want to do anything with, Life Weaver, 100% win rate in the Overwatch League.
No.
And if you want to do anything different, I guess this is the time to shine. But Atlanta Reign can't get too excited. The Vegas Eternal can be pretty scary.
Listen. First of all, there is still something on the line here for Atlanta Reign. They need to win this match with a 3-0 in order to completely bypass the knockouts and secure a spot at the mid-season without having to go through that gauntlet of a tournament. So they still should try here, Vicky. But it's about whether or not, Jake is right about whether they need to play at their full strength to be able to actually win this match.
I'm glad you brought that up. Yes, Atlanta do need to win that 3-0 versus Vegas just to 100% guarantee that #1 mid-season madness spot for safety measures out here. So yeah, it could be fun here if they want to try different things, but you can't have too much fun because I want to give some credit, all right? From what we've seen last week from the Vegas Eternal, yeah, they lost, but I feel like despite losing every single match and only taking one match, that was versus the New York Excelsior during week 3, to add some hype there, they did play their hardest versus the LA Glads last week, and even though it was a 3-0 for the Glads, Vegas brought it down to the wire for Kings Row and Junkertown in that series. So if they're waking up, yeah, it's a little late. Maybe they got their hibernation in, but maybe they could try to cook up something. It's just going to be difficult against the best team in the league right now.
There have been bright spots for Vegas. If you look at the individual players, they've been able to have some, spotlight performances, but you're right. This is going to be a tall ask here. Looking at the Atlanta Reign, Lip has one of the best Sombros with some of the most high impact value we've seen out of any team. And this is really a hero that Atlanta Reign has tried to work around to be able to play to its strengths. And this is another way that you can do that. Sombra May, it's a flavor of the week right now and a flavor of the meta, and it's working out so far for the Reign.
Especially on Oasis here too. You have the Maywas to block off the entry points of the choke point. The isolated Vulcan here, who's trying to get away from the Vortex as he was slowed down just a little bit. He highlighted Lip, and it's why we keep talking about Lip. Aside from these EMPs and how crazy his Sombra is, he has so much big potential in just finding these different backline picks. Like he just got onto Luke Nino, who's gonna be able to come in with the Ant Matrix, but it's gonna be another reset here for the Vegas Eternal.
Atlanta Raid have already taken control of the point, and at this point, they're trying to rotate through their ultimates, and this is a match we should really see Atlanta Raid take cleanly with a 3-0. Wow. Maybe if we get to the point where they're 2 maps under their belt, maybe they do start to see some silliness here, but we should start to see a serious EMP come out here from Lip.
See if the opportunity presents itself, and it does. It finds the backline, and it deletes Vulcan. Rack Attack had pulled the trigger on that sound barrier in a good timing, but the thing is, the damage output and the way that the Atlanta Rain was able to collapse on the Vegas Eternal was just too much, setting themselves up here at nearly 50% already on the point.
Even just using the EMP, you got the amplification matrix out here from the Rain, and you still have the ability to access the Blizzard, the Ramatra Annihilation. You've got the sound barrier as well to be able to deal with Vulcans. You've got a lot of tools to work with here.
Talk about the Annihilation. It's already claimed Luke Nino, staring at the face of danger as Vulcan, who's just really trying to find an opportunity into using this Maywa to block off the backline. He does find that pick onto Fielder, but he doesn't have Malthor or Dove to help him out here. Now it's another reset coming in while Rocket Tech tries to get away, and the Atlanta Rain win another fight here.
Yeah, they're still playing this very clinically. You were able to hold on to the Blizzard, but that's something that you can also use to be able to throw out the tank. Dove's actually going to be switching over to the Reaper, so playing a little bit more close quarters. Maybe they're able to get another elimination under their belt, but the fight's pretty split up at the moment, and you got this Blizzard to be able to lock down the choke. Oh,
it's a little too...
down?
This could be huge here. Rack Attack stays alive even though he was at a pixel of health, and overtime is activated. The Atlanta Rain are disengaging, giving that space over to the Vegas Eternal, and that's completely fine because look who's about to get the EMP. It's going to be Lip, and he's already looking for an opportunity to harass the backline.
Yeah, you can pepper in a little bit of damage here, and even if you're able to play it right, with the EMP online as soon as the rest of the Rain are moving in here. Annihilation first, though, from Vulcan.
This is huge here, too, because he had the Annihilation already ready right before Lip got the EMP. He's able to pull the trigger on it, and also was enabled by the Immortality Field in the Ant Matrix to contest in that choke point. But the Atlanta Rain are just going on the other side now.
And Atlanta Rain can really capitalize on the fact that Rack Attack does not have the sound barrier up and running yet, so this EMP is about to be big.
Oh, and he lands onto Rack Attack. He's able to put down the sound barrier just in the nick of time, but it's already too late with Fielder finding Luke Nino and Vulcan. That's just 3 alive left for the Vegas Eternal. Vulcan desperately swaps over to the Doom before deciding, all right, no, I'm sticking to the Ram here. We still have control over this point, nearing 50%, and with Malthol getting that pick onto Stalker, this could delay the Atlanta Rain more.
It is going to. That was perfect timing there from Rack Attack. Yes, the EMP did land onto Rack Attack, but you were still able to get the sound barrier up and running, and Vegas Eternal is starting to see some signs of life from them. We've got Dove with the Death Blossom trying to sneak behind the